Greetings. You know, some of that stuff last night on riots was staged. Uh, Not all of it, but a lot of it was staged. You know, it's a network in the white community. All white people are not in on it. See, they got to keep a certain white people ignorant so they'll stay stagnant in their belief that America is the greatest nation on the planet and that everybody else is jacked up. Uh, but in Detroit, they had staged a protest that was supposed to turn into a riot. See, the thing about Detroit is when we had our riot in '67, we didn't protest. We just went straight into jacking up police. See, because when the police raided the Blind Pig and started putting people in the paddy wagon, the brothers wasn't having it. And they started, you know, fighting the police back. See, we wasn't just looting. We was shooting. We was sniping. And they knew we had to be angry because we had 22 shooting at tanks. So they say they for real. They trying to stop us by any means necessary. They working with what they got. They got these little bitty guns, but they using them wisely because they sniping. They not in the middle of the street yelling at police. You know, see, even Dr. King didn't yell at him when he was peacefully protesting, but it got him killed. You know, y'all ain't learned y'all lesson. And, you know, black women got a great influence over the black male. In my next video, if y'all stay with me, I'm going to show you how and why the black woman is being separated and used against her man. And how the black woman should be birthing and raising warriors, intellectually and physically and mentally, warriors. But this is a scene in Detroit we're going to get to.
And like a school bus, and then a smaller vehicle, and I overheard them saying that is where they're going to put people that have been arrested. So I would imagine that bus is pretty well full at this point, and we've just witnessed dozens and dozens of arrests. But I don't know exactly where they're holding them, but they definitely had prepared for mass arrests out here.
So most of them are white people. They're not even from Detroit.
That's Cadillac Square. You can get a little perspective. We've moved several blocks away from Jefferson where this all started, and they continue to push the crowds back that do seem to be dispersing.
Now, when looking at this, though, it does seem that the majority of the crowd has been, and yeah, you said that you're on Cadillac Square right now. Where does it seem that the crowd is moving to at this point? It's almost like they're in front of the parking garage.
They're in front of a parking structure. Scott, let's get a little bit closer. We're going to get just a little bit closer if we're able to a safe distance. And I can kind of see, and again, get my bearings. It looks like that's 4th Street right there. So they're at 4th and Randolph right now. And it looks like there's like a big parking garage right there. me. We're kind of going in the area where that tear gas was administered, so you can definitely feel it.
Now, looking at this, though, it does seem that the majority of the crowd has been, yeah, you said that you're on Cadillac Square right now. Where does it seem that the crowd is moving to at this point? It's almost like they're in front of this the parking garage.
They're in front of the parking structure. Scott, let's get a little bit.
Have been injured. One was in the hospital. We know that several people have been arrested. One person possibly shot. We're working to confirm that as well. And that was caught live on camera. Jessica, you were right there, just feet away. We know that there were thousands of people peacefully protesting that has now become just hundreds, and it did erupt for a very long time, but it does seem to be calming down to this particular moment, as police almost seem to have had a deadline for when they were going to really administer that tear gas and really try to break down these crowds, giving them several hours to be able to protest and get their message across, but now really working to contain and break up these crowds so people start to go back to their homes. Because, of course, we are in the middle of a pandemic with the coronavirus, and you only saw about half the people out there wearing masks and standing very close by to each other. Possibly, and I know you mentioned this earlier, Jessica, we could see another spike because of what is going on and what has been going on for the last several hours at Cadillac Square in downtown Detroit.
That is a big concern. I talked to officers today. The problem that I saw today is that I didn't see anybody in the crowd concerned or worried about that beyond a mask. There definitely was not social distancing going on. I'm not saying that's everybody, but there was not. And when you're talking thousands and thousands of people, they were really on top of each other. We did our absolute best to stay away and steer clear of people, but it was hard. And I do understand in a protest situation, you are close, you are in a mass. That is sort of the purpose.
And right along that parking garage.
Yeah, and it continues to thin out every block we move. Hard to see exactly what's on the other side of the line of police officers. There's still a crowd out here, enough for police officers to be here in full force. We haven't seen DPD officers pull out by any means, which means there's still concern. They're still working to keep this crowd under control. And something else just caused a mass of people to run. But as I said earlier, that is part of the tactic, is to sort of run at a crowd to get them to push back and move back, and then the officers pull back and don't do anything. So that is part of what we see, just to kind of scare the crowd into moving away. We've been doing this for a while now, and we're having a bit of a battery issue with the camera. We may need
another person right there, another woman. But police seem to have a handle on the situation.
And this is one of the vans that I spoke.
See, those are Caucasians right there.
Obviously preparing for a situation like this, where people are inevitably going to get arrested after.
So I think I'll come in and say this right here, that these people were shipped in from another city somewhere else. So this was staged. It was a peaceful protest, though they went home. Then these people came, they were blending in with the peaceful protest. When the peaceful protesters went home, they stayed. The unpeaceful protesters. The unpeaceful protesters, you know, they right there, yelling at the police, intimidating the police, whatever. But I tried to get where the police chief said that these people were shipped in. But as you see, look in the crowd, you don't see too many black faces in the crowd. Mostly Caucasians. So this was staged up, you know. And the police realized that this was a stage effort, and so they handled it accordingly. See, there go another white guy being arrested on the ground. Another white woman. You know, these are mostly Caucasians out there. Provocateurs. That's what we called them back in the day. Because they tried to, when we were back in the day doing our thing on the Malice Green situation, murder by 2 white cops, they sent in provocateurs to start trouble. We're going to continue this.